Okay, so today we're going to learn a little bit about timelines. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Kelsey Wolf. I am an intuitive, a healer, alchemist, astrologer, and coach. I help women all over the world to overcome any type of adversity and challenges that they face, breaking free from limitations and creating a life of fulfillment and joy. Timelines. So the thing that I want us to recognize with timelines, this gets brought up quite a bit. So I want us to think about how, okay, let's talk about an event that occurs in our lives. All right. And this event is going to have its own energetic frequency and vibration that is going to then feed into, get absorbed by us and our energy. So it's going to affect, and it's going to give us codes that we need in order for us to understand how we want to deal with said event. It's the vibrational frequency that gives us the information that we need, that we absorb, so that we know how to react. The thing is with reactions, all right? So this event occurs, it causes us some energy inputs, all right? And with these energetic imprints within us now, there comes typically, just to keep this like really simple, there could be way more obviously, but just to keep this simple, we're going to say that in this particular scenario, there are going to be two ways in which we can decide and choose how we're going to react and move forward. So one of them is A, one of them is B, all right? Timeline A, or choice A, all right, is what's going to put us on this A timeline. Now, if this choice, based on said event, let's say job loss. Okay, let's say we have a job loss, so we get this information, this energetic information, and now we have two choices in which to make. Choice A is filled with fear, shame, guilt, and the decision in which we make at this time is to disassociate, go through a bit of a pity party, maybe freeze. And that is a choice. That is a choice in which we're making, and this causes a timeline. Timeline in which this occurs, right? We're disassociating, we're having a pity party, we freeze because we lost our jobs, we don't know what to do, we're freaking out, how the hell are we going to make rent this month, etc. Okay? Then we have, let's do a different color, then we have timeline B. I want to try to use dark colors here. Timeline B, or choice B, is calm, action-oriented, filled with gratitude, because even though we lost our job, this means that we have a choice to be grateful for the things that we learned about the job, to be optimistic as to what about what choices we can make moving forward. Maybe we're excited that there's going to be something new, and this creates timeline B, where then these are going to be kind of the actions and decisions in which we're going to make. So this is how we end up having multiple different timelines. All of them exist, and it is just a matter of choice and decision in which we make. So let's go back to timeline A for a hot minute here. So with timeline A, we're disassociated, we're having a pity party, we're freezing. So then the actions we're taking every day is maybe playing video games, staying home, laying in bed, or even looking for a job. But when you're looking for a job, it's fear-based. I have to get a job, I don't know what I'm going to do, I'm freaking out. Fear-based. So because of these actions, your timeline, that's why I drew it with a squiggly line, your timeline is going to be filled with more low, dense energy, low vibration, okay? And this happens to us a lot. Something bad happens and we make a choice based on the information that we're given to have an emotional reaction, which is warranted. However, we typically, a lot of the times, we can stay there, or some sort of belief system occurs. So like with a job loss, for an example, your belief system might become like, I'm worthless. And that's going to be a mindset that starts to come into your system. So with that worthlessness, you're going to, fuck, not even try, right? Now, if you're stuck on this timeline, this type of timeline, I want you to recognize that you can still get your tushy onto the more calm, action-oriented, gratitude, optimistic timeline, the second timeline. With this timeline, let's say, like, if we weren't to do this and we were to do this, all right, it would be looking for a job with openness and willingness to take on opportunities. You're excited when you get to leave the house. You're optimistic when you're looking for a job. You're calm because you trust that everything is going to happen. And you're taking aligned action during this time. So in this particular case, it would be looking for a job, right? Maybe because you have some extra time at home, it's looking into some mindset shifts that you can make, some lifestyle choices that can better benefit your life, looking into relationships that will nurture and support you. Those are the types of things that you could be doing during this time. And this creates a timeline of more flow, more peace, right? So if you did not do this, that's okay. That's okay, because we can still get our butts from this timeline. So this happens with a lot of trauma. This happens with loss, with grief, with shame, in terms of like relationships, job loss, like I'm using in this example. So in order to get from this timeline to this timeline, okay, I'm going to erase some words here so we don't get confused now. Okay, so B, I'll just say is the more calm one. All right, A is the fear one. All right. So we're on this fear-based timeline, and we want to get onto the calm timeline. We want to switch timelines. All right. So what is going to happen is, okay, because timelines are based on choices and intentions, okay, you can always make the choice to hop timelines. But then this means that you want to and you need to make a choice. Remember that timelines are all based on choices. So once you recognize you're stuck in this spot here and you no longer want to be there, it's not benefiting you in any way, then you're going to make a choice. This choice is going to be to start living your life as if you're already on this timeline. So you need to make the choice to do whatever it is you need to do to get from here to here. And that could mean looking at your mindset, looking at your lifestyle choices, looking at your inner beliefs, looking at the actions that you're taking every single day. Is it in alignment to this timeline? That's a really great arrow. Is it in alignment with that timeline? Okay. Because what's going to happen is once you start making this choice, right, to switch timelines, these actions, it's going to kind of start looking like this, right? And then it's going to get a little smaller, smaller, smaller. And then you're going to finally hit a point where you are now officially on this new timeline. But I want us to recognize this section right here. This section is extremely important because it's all about consistent choice that matches the energetic and vibrational frequency of being on this timeline. This is what we like to call the in-between stage. All right, you're in the in-between. You're not on this timeline anymore, but you're not yet on this timeline. So this is the trickiest part because you're in awareness of this. You want to get to this. You're not there yet. You still have all this work you need to do, and you have to consistently remind yourself of what you're doing. Why we're no longer going through this, through fear, and we're choosing more calm. You need to make the choice to have the same intentions and emotions as this timeline and take the same actions as you would as if you were already on this timeline, and be consistent with it every single day. This is when the word, Delulu comes into play, because now you are choosing to believe, to think, and act differently, even though. Does that make sense? So if you are in a position where an event, right, has basically caused you now a position of choice, which, believe me, the thing is that we need to understand here is that you make that like thousands of choices every single day. So anytime you decide, am I going to wake up to an alarm clock, or am I going to wake up on my own, or am I going to sleep in, wake up on time? Those are decisions that are then going to split off. There's a version of you that woke up to an alarm clock. There's a version of you that slept in. There was a version of you that planned ahead so that you would wake up on your own, but still within a good hour time period. There's a version of you, right? Your next steps would be when you first wake up. Then it's, am I going to have a coffee, a tea? Am I fasting? Am I going to go on my phone right away? All of those are different choices that you're going to be making every single day. And based on those choices in which you make, you are now on different timelines. Another really big example that I had of this was last year, when I just simply remembered how I had a client day and I woke up that morning with a massive headache. I was feeling fatigued. I wasn't in my top-notch energy. And so I made a choice that day to reschedule with my client and rest. There's a version of me that pushed through and kept that appointment with my client nonetheless. And so I would foresee, so I rested that day. So then the next day I was good. I was fine. I felt more calm, more myself, more alive. So I was able to follow through with my client appointments that day. If I was to remain on the timeline of, I'm just going to push myself because I don't want to cancel, I don't want to reschedule, then I might have been sick longer than I was, or the sickness would have gotten worse, right? So we always have to think about the decisions and the choices in which we're making every single day. Are our choices based on fear or trust? Is it in alignment with what we're actually wanting and building every single day? This is why habits, I hope you can see that still, habits are hard. Because if we're in a habit of thinking, believing, and acting a certain way, that's how things get perpetuated. That's how change doesn't occur. We need to get out of our comfort zones. We need to do the inner work. We need to have the self-awareness. And listen, it's okay if you miss a day of not being your highest self. The point is that you want to be more in the energy than not in the energy. So I love to say to my clients, when we're starting something new, we're going to want to work with it at least 4 days a week, not 3 days a week. Because you understand what I'm saying? We have 7 days in a week. Okay, so if you can make it a minimum of 4 days, then that is more often than not. And even then, 3 days a week, that's more often than what you used to. So if you need to take your little baby steps before it starts to get a little bit easier as you get down closer to the goal, that's okay too. But just know that it's completely possible for you to jump timelines and to quote unquote quantum leap. And it's just simply based on the choices. It's based on your choice and your decisions, and therefore your actions in which you're taking every single day. Hope that helps. Hope that makes sense. Love you.